Hello, and welcome to our presentation for your Human Resource System Integration. My name is Mary Smith, and I'd like to welcome you and introduce you to my partners, Brittany Black and Georgina Coleman. As your organization has grown over the years, you have put into place different systems to meet different needs. Each of these systems has filled an important gap in the execution of your operation. Unfortunately, with some of the quick growth that you've experienced, many of these systems were stopgap measures to fill an immediate need that you had. While certainly understandable, this organization is now to the point that it can no longer function as it should. As we look to the future and your growth, it is certain that these systems will not be able to evolve with you and take you where you need to go. The time to act is now. Why do we need to integrate your systems? Currently, you have data spread across 5 separate systems. Some of that data is duplicated across all of your systems, while other data may be present in only 1 or 2 systems. Furthermore, the data is inconsistently entered because these systems are spread out across your whole organization. The systems that you currently have in place that house your employee data include your job posting system, your employee information system, your employee benefits system, your timesheet system, and your performance review system. Why might these multiple systems cause a problem? Could multiple people entering in the same data over and over again cause a problem? Well, let's talk about that for a second. As an example, we're going to use my name, Mary Smith. When I apply for a job at your organization, I'm going to be filling out my information in the job posting section, and chances are I will be filling out my information in the benefits section. My name is Mary Smith, and when I fill my information out, I always fill my name out Mary F. Smith. However, the HR officer may very well put my name and information into the employee information section and in the timesheet section. Now that person may enter my name in as Mary Frances Smith. Could that pose a problem? Well, let's move forward. When I fill out my job posting information and my job benefits information, I'm going to put my address down as 414 Bracknott Court in Wilmington, North Carolina, 28412. When an HR officer fills out the employee information and the timesheet information, they may very well put my address in the same, 414 Bracknott Court. But wait a second, there's a typo in 2 places. They accidentally spelled my street name wrong, and they accidentally typoed the zip code. Now, I don't know about your organization, but most organizations mail out a lot of stuff, especially at the end of the year, tax time. This is going to cause a problem, and this is just one example of how having employee data in multiple systems could cause a problem. And I want to point out one other issue that may not immediately make itself known to everybody here, but the name could be an issue too. I put my name as Mary F. Smith because I know that's what's on my Social Security card. But the employees in the HR department may put Mary Frances Smith because they think that's what's on my Social Security card. That's also going to cause a problem. because we know the federal government mandates that all employees' names match their social security card and their payroll. Now, how are we going to fix this problem? Well, from a high-level overview, some of the things we recommend is a database-driven, web-based, integrated human resource system, one that provides all the functionality you need in one place, one that's going to provide a single point of data entry, one that's going to eliminate the duplication of data, one that's simple to use, simple to manage, and simple to maintain. We're going to offer some mandatory technology requirements and some recommended technology requirements.
Hello, and thank you all again for watching this presentation. My name is Brittany Black, and I will be going over the class diagrams portion of this presentation. Before I begin, let me talk a little bit about what you'll see in the coming slides. One of the slides you'll see is the domain layer class diagram. The slides after the domain layer class diagram will show you the system level class diagram broken into the subsystems of the system. Let's get started. This current slide shows the functionality that will be delivered by the Integrated Human Resources System. This Integrated Human Resources System is comprised of 5 different subsystems that all share information between one another. There are 4 main actors of this system. There's the Human Resources Officer, Employee, Manager, and Job Applicant. Each of these actors have access to the use cases that are special to them and the functionality that they need. For instance, a Human Resource Officer has access to the Hire Applicant use case, update employee information, terminate employee. An employee has access to enter their worked hours into their timesheet, view their pay statement and deductions. A manager has access to create reviews, update reviews, view reviews. And in a similar manner, a job applicant can apply for a job, view the application job status. As promised, here is the domain model class diagram. This diagram shows that the system is indeed one cohesive whole that delivers all of the functionality to meet the business needs of this institution. Let's start with department and going over the diagram. The department is really the highest level class of this class diagram. Each department may have one to many employees, and each employee can only have one department. The only attribute of department other than department ID is the department's name. Moving to the right, the person class is an abstract class. It is a superclass for both the employee and the job applicant class. The person class contains all of the attributes that are common to both employee and job applicant, like first name, last name, phone number, address. Speaking of address, each person can have one to many addresses, and each address can be had by one person. Moving to the far right of the diagram, let's talk about the job posting functionality for the system. Each application status type can belong to one to many job application, and each job application can only contain one application status type. An example of an application status type is not reviewed. Another example is interviewed. These application status types help the job applicant to know the status of their job application in the queue. Moving along, each job application can be submitted for one position, and each position can have 0 to many job applications associated with them. Speaking of position, an employee may have one and only one position, and each position can only be had by one employee. Attributes that describe position are position name, description, and whether or not the position is open for applications. Moving to the left to the employee class, we talked a little bit about employee, and that is because employee is such an important class in this system. Employee really has a lot of associations to all of the other classes in this system. And why wouldn't it? This is a human resources system. The employee is the human resource. Employee has attributes for position, department, whether or not the employee is active, their termination date, their hire date, their current salary, whether or not they are on leave with no pay. Moving further to the left again, each employee has 0 to many performance reviews, and each performance review it only belongs to one employee. Each performance review contains information about who the review was by, what were the reviewer's comments, and what were the reviewer's recommendations. Right below the performance review class, we see the timesheet class. The timesheet class helps to deliver the functionality for the ability to enter timesheets into the system. Each timesheet has an attribute for the employee to pay, the current pay period, whether or not the timesheet has been approved, who it was approved by, whether or not the timesheet has been paid, the gross pay for that timesheet, and the net pay for that timesheet. Each timesheet belongs to one pay period, and each pay period has 0 to many timesheets. Additionally, each timesheet has 1 to many work days, and each work date belongs to one timesheet. An example of a work date is, say for instance, I worked this week Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So let's pretend that the pay period is a 1-week pay period. I would enter 5 work days for my timesheet for this pay period. And that is why you see the 1 to many relationship there. Moving over now to the far bottom right hand corner of the diagram, you see 3 classes here that we haven't talked about yet, which is benefit type, benefit, and employee with benefit. Each benefit has 1 type, and each type belongs to 0 to many benefits. A benefit type can be health insurance, retirement, dental insurance, along those lines. Each benefit has at least 1 type. Each benefit also has a deduction amount. It also has whether or not the benefit should be deducted before tax or after tax. Each benefit can belong to 1 to many employees, and each employee can have 0 to many benefits. And because of this many to many relationship between employee and benefit, the association class for employee with benefit was created. This class contains additional attributes for approved, approved by, and approved on. Each employee with benefit is approved by at least 1 human resources officer, and each human resources officer can approve 0 to many employee with benefits. Speaking of human resource officer, a human resource officer inherits from employee, which inherits from person. A human resource officer is really almost the administrator of this system, and as you can see, it also has a lot of associations with other classes in this system. This slide is the view layer for the system. There are 6 views that comprise the system. There is a main view that is essentially navigates to all the other 5 views. The methods that you see in the main view help facilitate the navigation to the other 5 views for each of the subsystems. Additionally, as we'll talk about in a minute, each of the views have a corresponding controller. So there are 5 controllers in total for this system. This diagram shows the employee management subsystem. This subsystem has a controller called the employee management controller that facilitates things like creating a new department, updating a department, creating a new employee, updating an employee, changing an employee's manager. The methods on the controller call the respectful methods on each of the person, address, employee, department classes. One thing of note here, as you can see in the controller's methods, there's a get activity list, get employee information. These functions connect directly to the database. We do not have a data access layer in this design. Our controllers facilitate our access to the database. The next subsystem is the job posting subsystem. Again, there's a job posting controller that can create a new position, mark a position as an open position, meaning it's available to receive job applications. It can also get a list of open positions to display those to the user. It can get application info if a job applicant is requesting information about their job, the job application they have submitted, and the status. It also has methods for uploading a cover letter, uploading a resume, and again, all these methods simply call the respectful methods on each of the classes and manage those multiple instances. Similar to the job posting controller, we have a timesheet controller that helps to facilitate the timesheet methods, such as the add vacation day, add sick leave day, approve a timesheet, get pending approvals. This slide shows the system class diagram for the performance review subsystem. Again, along the same pattern that we've talked about for the other three diagrams, there is a performance review management controller that controls this use case. The performance review management controller has methods such as get employee review, get all reviews, create new reviews, update review comments, and update review recommendations. And last but not least, we have an employee benefits management subsystem class diagram. Once again, we have a controller for this subsystem that is an employee benefits controller. It has methods such as get current benefits, get available benefits, create new benefits, update benefits, delete benefits, approve benefits. All of these methods, all of these behaviors have navigation visibility through or to the classes that they need in order to execute the necessary behaviors to provide the system functionality that you need. Thank you for your time.
As you review the first of our three sequence diagrams, hiring an applicant, you'll see that we have a manager, user interface, security, the employee information management view, and the employee management controller. Starting at the left, we'll notice that the manager logs in with a username and password through the user interface and authenticates against the security. The manager will either pass or fail authentication, and based on that pass or fail, he will be displayed a message. Assuming that he passes authentication, he will be displayed a screen based on his user rights. In this particular scenario here, the manager is going to add an employee. And as the manager adds an employee, the user interface begins to interact with the employee information management view. And then that interacts with the controller. Of course, this is all seamless on the back end. As that result is returned back to the manager, then the manager selects the payroll option. And after the manager selects the payroll option, then all the data from hiring the employee is automatically imported into the payroll module. So there's no separate data entry, no chance of the Mary F. Smith and the Mary Frances Smith accident occurring. All the data that was put in early on in the employee processing system will just simply be carried over. In our second example, updating employee information, in this example we have our human resource officer, our user interface, security application layer, employee information management view, and employee management controller. Again, as with every instance of accessing the system, the person or the employee will be logging in with their username and password, authenticating against the security, and either passing or failing authentication. Then the user would be displayed with the main screen, and in this particular scenario, the user will select the option to update the employee. The user would be offered a list of employees and would actually search the employee that they were particularly looking for by employee name or by employee ID number. Then the data would be displayed to the employee searching. Then the employee searching, or in our case the HR officer, would highlight the user that they wanted to update, and then update options would be made available. In this particular instance, they have the ability to update the employee information, address, the person's position within your organization, the description, the department, their salary, to terminate the employment, or to change a manager. Once those options, whichever ones are selected, are made and saved, then the data is inserted into the database. In our third example, we have manager creating and updating reviews for employees. In this example, we have a manager, our user interface, security, performance review management controller. As with our other examples, our manager logs in with a username and password, authenticates against the security layer, and will pass or fail the authentication. Once they pass or fail authentication, they will be given a message on the screen. Assuming that they pass authentication, they will be sent to the main screen of the system, where the manager will be choosing the option to create employee review. When the manager creates the employee review, the performance review management controller will pull back all the reviews, or excuse me, all the employees that this manager has the ability to review based on those employees that he supervises. From that list of employees, the manager will select the particular employee that they would like to review, and then they would actually create the particular review. And that review would include the employee's review date, the manager who is doing the reviewing, any comments, and any recommendations. Once the review is saved, then that data would be inserted into the database.